Okay.
Hey.
All right. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Nee Abrahams, and this is Community and Culture Night. We are celebrating 1 year. I cannot believe we made it. I cannot believe we did it. Absolutely unbelievable. So we just wanted to take some time just to celebrate. And more than anything, we've spent this past year getting to learn and meet really incredible people all across the country and all across Indiana. And so we just wanted to flip the script this time around and have a chance for you guys to meet the team that started Community and Culture Night. When we first started Community and Culture Night, the goal was pretty simple. We just wanted to create a space where young adults and young professionals could gather, could connect, and really just build relationships. Because as you know, sometimes it can be really difficult to do that outside of work. And then coronavirus happened. So we had to adjust and go virtual. But all things considered, it's still been fantastic. It's given us an opportunity to learn from people from all over the country and not just Indiana. And so we just wanted to take some time. I think we would be remiss if we didn't take an opportunity to get to meet the team who started this. So basically the format for today is pretty simple, where I'm just gonna ask some questions. We're just gonna get to know everyone. If you are watching, if you have questions for anyone on the team or questions in general, put them in the chat. We are using a different platform than normal, but we can still see your questions that you have. And so we just want to give an opportunity to celebrate. But before we do that, we do have to give away a $25 Amazon gift card to, I want to make sure I get the name. This is where we do like a drum roll. I don't know if that's still a thing. Boom, 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 like a virtual drum roll. Goes to Haley Sumner. Haley Sumner, this $25 gift card goes to you for our contest. Thanks so much for being a part. We will connect with you after and send this your way. Before we get going, we just want to say again, thank you. And I'm just really excited because this team is absolutely incredible. And I just want a chance for everyone to get to know them. So I'm just going to kick us off, and basically we're just going to let this conversation flow. Who knows what will happen, what will be said. It's not going to be anything super crazy, but we're going to have fun with it anyway. So I'm just going to kick us off. I just would love a chance for everyone to get to know who you are. So we'll just first start off with, who are you? Give us an introduction, and we'll start. I don't know. Who wants to go first? I'm not a teacher. I'm not going to make anyone go.
I can go first.
All right, Bree, rock it.
Hey everyone, I'm Bree Shore. I moved to Indy a year and a half ago, or a little more than that, from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Originally from the Carolinas though, so kind of confusing, but you'll hear a little bit of both accents. I moved to Indiana to be closer to home and also to be a part of a church community here in Indianapolis. And yeah, I'm loving it. It's definitely growing on me. It was always kind of that midway point going home from Minnesota to get to Carolinas. I was always super excited to be in Indianapolis. So I'm like, yes, we're halfway there. But it's fun to actually get to experience and see the area and get to know everyone here. It's been really fun.
Cool. And where are you now? Because I feel like people don't know this about Bree, but she's literally traveling every week going somewhere.
Yeah. I'm actually first time in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm not sure if anyone listening has been to Birmingham. It's my first time. It's beautiful, very lush and green. Two of my good friends that are in the Chick-fil-A leadership program, they kind of move around a little bit, kind of training to own their own Chick-fil-A store. And so they're down here, and I learned it's only a 7-hour drive from Indianapolis. So I decided to make the trip down. So I'm down here this week.
Fun.
Yes.
Destiny, rock it.
Yeah. Well, I am Destiny. I'm from Fishers, Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm a student at IUPUI here. My major is psychology, and then I'm also minoring in cultural diversity, which is really cool. Thankfully, though, because I'm really tired of just being in school, I graduate this May, so in 3 weeks, excited. I'm ready. And currently I'm a baker, and then I just got my first postgrad job that I'm super excited about. So I'm a baby case worker. So I work with a small agency that like provides resources to families, like mental health services, housing, things like that. I'm just super excited to be a part of it and to like go into this next season of my life. And then I guess for C&C, I do like all of the cool graphics that you see. So if you see like any of the speaker announcements, the questions and things like that, I make those.
Yeah, thank you, because we are not good at that stuff. At all. Who wants to go next? I'll go. So some of you guys know me. My name is Nee. Originally from Southwest Missouri, Joplin to be specific. The only reason you would know that is because it was a really big tornado that kind of happened in the area a while back. But I went to Missouri State University, and then in 2016 moved to Fishers to also be part of a church community here. And I have loved it. I had no idea that I would ever move to Indiana. Not that Indiana and Missouri are that much different, but I've really enjoyed the area. I've met some really incredible people. Erica was actually one of the first friends I ever met here. And so, yeah, I'm eternally grateful for her. But yeah, I've loved my time here. I've worked in a variety of different spaces. Both my degrees are in communication. So I've done like branding. I used to teach at Ivy Tech, and now I am in admissions. Well, actually, as of yesterday, which this is crazy because I don't even think the team knows this because this has happened all within a month. I'm now the director of orientation and first year experience at Anderson University. So super excited about that.
Congrats.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm super excited. So I'll start May 1st. So breaking news, no one even really knows that yet, but okay, now it's public somewhat.
Hey, that's exciting.
So yeah, so I'll do that. But yeah, I've enjoyed my time. I love higher ed. I love like college students, young adults, like that world. It's like a blast for me. It just helps me stay young forever. So there, that's a little bit about me.
I will go next. So my name is Erica Lagos. I am originally from the Metro Detroit area. I graduated from Central Michigan University and then moved down to Indiana in January of 2014. So just over 7 years ago. I did not think I would come here, nor did I think I would be here this long, but now I don't think I'm leaving. So I think it just happens when you get here. Professionally, I work for the Alpha Chi Omega Foundation and love that work that I get to do with them. I'm coming up on 2 years here with them pretty soon. So that's exciting stuff. And yeah, that's a little bit about me, I guess.
I'll go last. To follow that up, I guess I might be one of the only people in the group that always envisioned myself in Indy and is passionate to be here. So I grew up in Muncie, Indiana, about an hour north, and then I did my undergraduate at Indiana State and then my master's at IU. So I've hit like at least half of the major cities in Indiana, and I always saw myself in Indianapolis because it's the most opportunity of those cities. You know, great opportunities everywhere, but I kind of always hoped I would end up here. I'm a financial analyst at Herf Jones. So basically, I do the corporate budgeting, the outlooks forecasts, things like that. I am married and currently live in the broader area of Indianapolis.
Very cool. Very cool. Most people don't know this. Like, so sometimes in our meetings, like we'll meet once a month and we kind of figure out like, okay, who we want to connect with, who we want to like reach out to, and it's like either Erica or Garrett that they just know apparently everyone.
Yeah.
Area. It's like 3/4 Erica. It's just like she just happens to know the whole community. So she just I don't know how you do it, but she literally knows all of Indianapolis.
Yeah. You need a network, go to Erica.
Literally.
She's the one.
She knows it all. She literally knows it all and knows where all the good food spots are.
Yes.
Yes, all the restaurants. You got to hit up the local spots.
I will
Yelp
say,
certified.
yeah, which I still need to work on. I told myself I was going to do that this year, and I haven't done that yet. So I'm working on that.
There's still time. The year is young.
Now that things are opening up, it's game time.
Yes.
So hey, what I want to do is I just want to ask a few questions just for people to again just get to know us a little bit more. So one of my favorite questions, because I think it reveals like who people are. I don't even know why I think this way, but I do. So my question always is, if you were the host of a talk show, who is your first guest that you are bringing on? You have the whole, obviously they have to be alive, but who's the first person?
Wait, they have to be alive?
They do have to be alive.
Destiny?
I know that
Wow.
you would think that would help you.
So for me, that's an easy one. As soon as I saw that as a potential question, I was like, I know right away who I'm asking. And it may not be a beloved answer by all, especially with some of the conspiracy theories floating around Facebook, but mine would absolutely be Bill Gates, 100%. I've always been so fascinated by him.
Yes.
And a lot of it's because there's so much misinformation that goes on with him in general, but I'm so fascinated with the way his brain works, with the Gates Foundation, with the Giving Pledge, and how much, literally giving away everything they've amassed their entire lives for these causes and how passionate they are about it. I've watched every documentary there is to know on him, but would love just to ask him a few questions and just spend an hour with him. So it would 100% be Bill Gates for me. You won't see any conspiracy theories on my page, I promise.
Okay, when that happens, you need to let us know what he says because I
Yes.
feel like he's so interesting.
No.
For sure.
If you don't know Garrett, Garrett also happens to know literally everything about everything. Like if you need a trivia partner, it's Garrett. I don't
I appreciate it.
Okay, Garrett, what is one thing about Bill Gates that we don't know that you think is really interesting?
I think it's just the causes that he's passionate about. Like his foundation is, going after causes that you would never even think are a huge issue or are worthwhile, but governments and international agencies would ignore. So like, for instance, the sanitation issues of Africa or nuclear power as a way of getting us out of, some of the environmental issues that our planet is facing today. Like those are issues that he is him and Warren Buffett together, pretty much just those two, are donating their entire fortune to solving. But I don't think he gets enough recognition for a lot of the work that he does.
I had no idea. That's awesome. I'm kind of
I didn't
curious.
know that either.
Yeah.
Bill Gates is so hard to follow. Like,
Yeah.
you can just not sound that sophisticated after this. Like my why, I would probably choose, well, first, I'm going to break the rules and bring on a panel because
Of course.
I'm switching it up. I would definitely bring on a panel of first ladies. I'm not picking who right now, but I would bring on a panel of first ladies because I think that they have such an interesting view of like the work of the president and then just the nation in general and the work that they get to do and kind of how that role has developed over the years. And I love presidents and like presidential families and the White House. And so to just have some time to have with them on a panel, I think would be amazing.
That's so cool. I would love to hear that too. I think that'd be so interesting.
Yes.
Like all the behind the scenes stuff that you would never get to hear from anyone else. Oh yeah.
Like you definitely want the sitting first lady, but like you need some past first ladies to like, share some of the real deal.
They got some
stories. I'm sure there's some crazy stories.
Destiny, what about you?
I'm trying to think. Can I be the odd one out and just say someone who's dead?
I broke the rules. You can break the rules.
Okay, if I can. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, my person would be Mr. Rogers. Hands down, I love him. The first movie that I've ever seen like at a theater by myself was his documentary, and that was like it just like opened up my love for him even more. But I just feel like he's like the true model of like kindness and compassion, and I just admire his like just level of gentleness, or his past level of gentleness, because he's dead, but sadly. But I just feel like he didn't separate like honesty and gentleness and how he communicated like real things that were happening into the world, especially because he like his show was based around like sharing things to kids and like teaching them lessons or sharing with them about like things that were going on during that time when it was like really, really big. I don't know, I just love, like, I feel like he's just a great example of like what it means to be a person who like loves other people, and just his stories and his kindness were like beyond this world to me. So Mr. Rogers.
That's a great one. I mean,
he hasn't been dead long too. That's not that bad of a
Yeah,
cheat.
I was gonna say, I was like, he hasn't been dead super long, so maybe like the cutoff could be like a couple years.
That's
yeah, if he was alive in the 21st century, he counts.
Bree, what about you?
So I had to think about this one because it's hard for me to pick just one or like narrow down on just one person or thing in general. But right now I'm really, and you guys may have heard of the Enneagram, but I'm really like studying a lot about the Enneagram, not just for myself, but for other people, like kind of what it looks like, just different, just like the context for the Enneagram and listening to like podcasts about it. So if you guys follow, you may have heard the name Ian Crom, and he does the Typology podcast, and I've been listening to that a lot lately. And so that was just kind of like just present in my mind. I'm like, I think it'd be really cool to have him on and just kind of pick his brain about like just really like how he got into the Enneagram, like and just like learning more about it directly from him, like having questions. And I think that'd be really interesting.
I feel like because you shared the Enneagram, you have to say what your number
Oh
is.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure, and this is probably because I think I am a 9 strong wing 1. So peacemaker with a strong wing 1, which is like the reformer, or some people call the perfectionist.
Go nines.
Hey.
I'm a 9. I'm a 9 wing 8, I think. Or no, the opposite. What is it? 9 wing. There's 9 wing 1 and 9 wing something else. I'm
Yeah,
the
8.
opposite.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, 8.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 3-wing too.
3's
Hard 3.
fun.
Garrett or Erica, do you know yours? Just because we're talking about it?
Yeah, so I'm 100% an 8. My wing is technically a 7, but I don't see much of it. If you can just be all something and not anything else, then I'm just all in on 8.
Ah, that's cool. I wouldn't have guessed.
I'm flipping me. I'm 2 wing 3.
Hey.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which I battled with a long time. And then I was like, just accept who you are. Everybody sees it. You know you are this way.
Okay, why did you battle it though?
I don't know. You just know, like, I've taken so many like personality assessments and things like that. And I'm like, how does something get you so deeply at your core? And I was just mad about it. I just didn't want to be that way.
Well, they say that if you aren't upset about what your Enneagram number is at first, then it's probably not your number.
I've
And you
I
know
didn't
that.
like the 9 at all, and I've grown to love it. So
Yeah, the first time I read that I was a 3, it like shook me to my core, like expressing feelings I hadn't even been able to like put words to process. I'm like, oh, this is me, and I hate myself, but it's so true. But it also was like super unhealthy. So
that's true.
Yeah, that's probably why I don't like the 2.
Erica, Samantha says that you're 2 to the core.
She lived with me for like 2 years, so she knows.
If I had to bring someone on a talk show, I'm bringing my favorite musical artist. His name is John Bellion. The dude is unreal. In my senior year of college, a buddy was like, "Hey, check out this guy," and I was like, "Okay, he's kind of weird." And then I just went crazy for him. I don't know what happened. Like, he's the only artist that like I've seen him the most in concert. I think I've seen him 3 or 4 times. Like one time, this is no joke. So I moved in August of 2016, and he was playing in Indianapolis in October of 2016 in the Egyptian Room. I literally went to a concert by myself. I've never done that before, and that was one of the most uncomfortable experiences of my life. But I did it. That's how dedicated I am. So I would love to have John Billion, also because he writes a lot for like really big names, and he's all over. Like at one point in time, he had like 5 songs in the top 50 that like he wrote earlier, I think end of last year. And what's crazy is like he has all this money, but he really does a good job of balancing his life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like really fascinated by like celebrities who are like try not to be as much as possible. Like he literally, like, social media is not really his thing. Like he just kind of like dips out and then he just reappears with music. And I'm just fascinated by that. And I just would want to hear more about his story. So that's it for me.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
How did you like? I feel like when people say they've gone to a concert by themselves, it's either like, oh, it was terrible or it was really great. Did you?
It was the concert was awesome, but there's just like, I'm such a social, like relational person that like when I'm by myself, it's weird to like, because you can't really like vibe with anybody. And there's this weird like there was this moment that I was like really excited, and I was like, oh, I'm one of his biggest fans. And then I saw like this like 14-year-old girl with like a massive tattoo of like his lyrics on her arm. And I was like, yeah, I'll never like, I'm done. Just give it up. I'm like, cool, I'm good. I'm just gonna enjoy him. But
It's so fun.
oh yeah. Okay, so I'm really curious. One of the things that like if you like if you're watching and you know these guys, obviously like they're absolutely incredible, absolutely talented. But one of the things I love about this team more than anything is like their depth for just different things that they're passionate about. And it's very different, it's very random. And I would just love for you guys to share like what's the thing that you're passionate about? What's the thing that moves you? Like what's the thing like I guess one way, if you could give a TED talk on anything, what would it be about? Like whether it's raising awareness, whether it's something you're just really passionate about. I would love for people just to get like a window into like the world outside of just like what you do for a job. So I don't know who wants to go first, but I'm just super fascinated by this. I got people thinking.
I feel like
first.
you can go first.
Okay, I can go. So two things come to mind. I'm very, very passionate about people just in general, building relationships with people, getting to know people's story. Like that is so life-giving to me. I just love getting to know people. And then another piece of that is I love traveling, as we kind of talked about in the beginning. So if I could give a TED talk on something though, like I would love to give a TED talk just on traveling, like why I think traveling is important, like why I love traveling, like kind of the tips and trips to traveling, like on a budget, places I'd recommend going and why. I don't know. I think that would be cool. I don't know if they have TED Talks on that, but I would absolutely love to give a TED Talk on that. I think that'd be cool.
And Bree's our June speaker now because we all need tips on how to travel inexpensively. Like, why haven't we done this yet?
Yeah. Hey, that could be a thing. Yeah, for sure.
It's about time, Bree.
Maybe it's the 9 thing, but I would also say that my passion is definitely also like getting to know people, knowing their story, hearing their life, and like a really deep and intimate setting. I feel like the thing that I love is just asking people questions because that's the best way to get to know them. And I think that I just have this core belief since like getting older that the best way to get to know people is by like asking those questions that might seem scary to ask. But I just think as a person, like the times I felt most connected to someone is when they've asked me something that I wasn't expecting, because I feel like it showed there was a level of comfort between us. And so I love, if I could give a TED talk on something, it would probably be like on how to like listen to others and hear their story. But there's this card game that I love. It's called Skin Deep the And it basically is just a card. It's like a set of cards, and they have one for families, couples, friends, coworkers. There's so many of them, and it basically just has questions on it, and you're expected to like sit with somebody and just like ask back and forth and listen. And I feel like that's a really good tool to be able to do that. But probably just like a TED talk that's also maybe like a seminar or something where we just like practice sharing our stories with people that maybe like we don't know. I feel like that would be super fun, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And you because of you, my wife Rachel and I got those cards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, we haven't used them in a while, but the first couple times we used them, like some of the questions are like really deep. Like it forces you to like really have like deep conversation, which is actually really cool.
Yeah, it's so fun. Some of them are a little crazy because so I have the strangers deck, and it's like, how do you feel that I manage my money? Or something like that. And it's just, they're a little out there, but I think generally like it's just such a neat thing to use.
Love that. I think for me, one of the things like, so for context, I grew up in like really like a ministry context in church my whole life. And like, that's really been like, you know, one of the main filters I see the world. And I've just seen a lot of people, like ministry leaders and really just people in general, especially being here in the area that we live in, just like kind of run through this rat race. And so I guess long story short, like there's always been a metric for success that people try to achieve, but like that same metric is the thing that's causing burnout and frustration and like hurt families. And like I love watching interviews and like of like celebrities and musicians, and they all say the same thing. They all get to where everybody wants to be and they go, it's like not worth it. And yet everybody still tries to get there. And so like I'm really passionate about like figuring out a different scorecard for success, of like what does success really mean beyond like, oh, how many people are in a church on Sunday, or how much money do you have in your bank account. And I think it comes out of, because I am a three, if you know anything about threes, it's like success is like one of the main drivers of like, there's one of the main like drivers. And so that's something I always wrestle with. And so because of that, it's now become something I'm like really aware of. So like for me, like I'm really passionate about like having those conversations with like people as early as possible, so that like they set their life up in their 20s, so that in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, they're living a sustainable life, that they're not burnt out by 50, you know, with a lot of money in their account or whatever metric they view as successful, but like isn't really fruitful and beneficial, that they're not living healthy lives. So for me, that's something I'm really, really passionate about. And I would love, yeah, I just think that we'd be a much better place if we all lived healthier lives overall, and quit trying to join the rat race of success, or what, you know, culture views as success. So you know, that's really important to me.
So I'll go next. I think a lot of people that know me well know I'm really passionate about personal finance and investing. And one of the concepts that's been frustrating me a lot lately is this idea of voting with your dollars, but not following it through to its fullest extent. So I think everyone's probably heard of the idea of like, oh, shop local, like go to local restaurants, shop your local stores, help the local economy. And that's a good way to, through your spending habits, support ideas and ideals that you are passionate about or care about. But you never hear about it on the investing side. And it's the same idea. You're still voting with your dollars and supporting causes you care about, but it's this idea of ESG investing, which is environmental, social, corporate governance. And you can focus on one specific avenue of that and really support causes you care about. So for instance, there was a little bit of talk about this during like the heights of the Black Lives Matter movement, but there are diversity and inclusion funds, which actually in some cases outpace and beat the market during certain segments of time. And there's certain rules the companies this fund can invest in. So it has to have a certain percentage of the board reach a diversity level. They have to invest in local communities, and a certain amount of their profits have to be given away. So you can still get the same level of returns and also support causes you care about. And it's a completely overlooked aspect of the market that I wish more people knew about and understood. So that's something I'd like to share.
Love that. No idea.
I think for me, it would be about bringing awareness to the lack of access that so many women have to menstrual and feminine hygiene products. And I know some of y'all on the team have heard me talk about this before. I just get really riled up about it sometimes, because I think it's like, that is like a basic need for people. And it just is so disheartening to me of like how challenging it can be, and how women will have to make a sacrifice of, well, I'd rather put food on the table for my family, or I'd rather, you know, keep the lights on this month than buy tampons or buy what I need to keep myself healthy and clean. And it's just like, it just makes my blood boil. And I just don't think people think about it, because so many of us sit in a place of privilege where it's just like on the grocery list and you just pick it up when you need things. And it's just like so many people in the world have to make a choice of this or that. And unfortunately, a lot of times this gets chosen instead of that.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I love about people sharing their passions is because you begin to recognize like there's so many things in the world that are happening that people just aren't aware of, you know, like, and I love that, because even like knowing you guys for a while now, like I'm reminded of things that like aren't ever in my natural frame of consciousness, but like are still so important that affect so many people, you know. I love that. I do want to switch gears because I want to make sure we're good on time. So obviously we've had a lot of incredible speakers. And so I'm not going to ask you which is your favorite in case they're listening. And I know Erica, you got some people on, so you got to be careful. But I do want to know if there was a speaker or a conversation or something that really impacted you that you can like look back on and be like, oh yeah, like that was really cool. Like I would be really curious to know what was the thing that got you?
I think even to speak on a general note, I've been so impressed by, I think that it's clear to everyone that's watching that this group is geared towards young professionals, and that's a lot of people that we have involved in these chats. I've been impressed by everyone's entrepreneurial spirit of people that come on this channel. Like, I, in my mind, think that like, oh, entrepreneurship is something you do way down the line. Like, you got to get your career established. You can't be taking risks now. But I'm constantly amazed at how many people that are, young professionals that are finding success as young entrepreneurs. And I think too, we think about how scary that is, and people are doing it and are passionate about it, and it's really energized me, I think, to feed off that. And it's been a side effect of this community I didn't see initially, but I really enjoyed for sure.
Definitely kind of backing off of that too, that just like, obviously we started around the time like COVID really heightened. And so we've been virtual this entire time, but who was it? I forget. She did the wine.
Ashton.
Yeah. She was talking about how she started her passion in the middle of COVID. And it just made me realize like the importance of pressing into what you're interested in, even at this time. And like, just the fact that like just doing this throughout this has showed me like people are still like caring about the things that they like have deeply loved even since before COVID. And there still are opportunities to be able to kind of like her, like take classes online, or as things start opening up, like doing more things like outside that you love, like event wise. It just showed me that like, even now while we're still like in the middle of the pandemic, that like our passions don't leave because this is all happening. Like we have other ways that we are just able to like do these things that we care about, and that it just showed me like how many people are doing that, and it's been so cool through this time with all the speakers.
For sure, that's been something that's really, so I didn't mention this at the beginning, but my job is actually transitioning. So I've been kind of in the corporate world for a little while doing marketing events, and then really focusing on like company culture has kind of been where my background is. And I'm actually like transitioning careers into something that's more entrepreneurial minded, not as I'm stepping into it fully right now. I'm not starting it yet, but like really taking steps towards just kind of learning more about like the coffee industry is kind of where I'm going in event venues. And so like really reflecting on all, like you guys have shared, the speakers that have come on and just have like just gone for their passions. It's been so encouraging, because it's like, yeah, whether we're in a COVID or like our age, whatever, like we can really step out and pursue those. And so, yeah, I've just been really encouraged, because it's been a lot of like the speakers that we've had on, they've just been pursuing their passions and coming on and sharing about it. And it's been very encouraging to me. It's been awesome.
I think I've just been so impressed that so many people have trusted us to come into a community that they might not be fully connected to and share what they're passionate about. And kind of like y'all said, like we've seen so many people that are like thriving in their careers, or like have a really just like a huge heart and love for a certain topic that have shared with us. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there is a level of vulnerability, and I think there's an added layer when you're behind a screen. And so to know that people have like that connection to us where they feel confident and comfortable to come with us, and like then to even say like, hey, connect with me after this if you're interested in what I'm doing. I think that has been like the thing for me, that I'm like, if we can constantly invite people into this space and just like have people follow us along on this journey in the group, whether they choose to join us live or watch later, like that is just so like energizing. And it just like really gets me going, thinking about like, wow, this group is incredible. And we're, for the most part, you know, we have had our speakers outside of the Indianapolis area, but for the most part, we're in the greater Indianapolis area. And like, if that doesn't show the good of a city, like we got good things coming, which is amazing. So
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I feel like, you know, as we started this thing, we really had no idea what to expect, you know, like it's funny. I talk to speakers. I'm like, you know, sometimes it maybe only be a couple viewers, sometimes it's 20 plus. You just like don't know. But what I love is like, regardless, like the speakers that show like bring their whole hearts to it. And I just think that that's so cool that like there's at least a platform for people to share that. Even as like one thing that like I'll always remember Nikki with Yelp Indie,
Yeah.
like something is like fun as or something is fun and it's kind of like normal ingrained in our lives as Yelp, like, oh, I need a place to eat, like top 10 Chinese places. I literally probably researched that like 5 times as if I already know where I'm going, you know. Like, and it's funny because you think something like that is just so like automated, but behind that is someone who like is really passionate about making sure people are connected, that like smaller and local owned businesses are getting recognition, that people are finding places of belonging and community through something like Yelp. And it's like I had no idea on the back end of that was like something so like significant. And I just love that people are able to find like they're able to bring their whole selves into these conversations. I don't know, I just love that. I just think that that's so cool and so much fun. Okay, so I said that we would wrap up around 7:45-ish. We're getting close. So I'm going to ask, if I know there's just a few people watching, so if there's anyone watching, if any questions for any one of us, let us know. But I'm going to go ahead and end with our wrapping 2 questions because I promised we'd get to this. So this is for everyone. The first one is, if you had a skill that you could master immediately, what would it be? And then the second is the question that we always ask every guest: what does community mean to you?
I'm going with my skill first. I would learn a language because like to not have to like study and do all of the like extreme hard work to learn a language and be like fluent. How amazing would that be to just like have it?
Best. Ugh, just travel everywhere.
So do you want us to answer both questions or just?
We'll go around and do the skills first, and then we'll
Okay.
answer this question. Yep.
Okay, so my skill, I think I already do this okay as is, but in order to master it, I want to manage my time way more efficiently than I do now. I think that you can accomplish so much more in life when you manage your time efficiently. So if I could 100% master that, it would open up so many doors.
Yeah, that's real. For me, I'm tied. It would either be like, I want to be like jazz pianist, like I want to play piano like John Legend. Like I just think that'd be so smooth. I do. Or if I could master knowing and remembering everyone's name that I've ever met.
Oh, that's good.
For me would be just like the biggest dream. Oh my gosh, I would love that.
I think for me, I would do, so my big dream is to be able to live off of my own land. So to know how to properly garden and know like season wise, when I need to plant certain seeds, like what sort of like fertilizer, and things that certain plants need, but to like have my own chickens, have my own land with like growing my own lettuce, things like that. I just feel like it'd be one, just like it's one of those skills that could just come in handy. Like you get to grow your own food. Like that's so cool. But it would just be like a neat thing to know how to like totally like garden everything.
So when the apocalypse comes, we're coming to you. That's what it is.
That's really what I was thinking about when the zombies come out.
The zombies come.
So again, I have a hard time picking just one, but one thing I think would be really cool that's always been like a hard thing for me, like, is just remembering the things that I read. Like I have like, some people absorb information like a sponge. And I've always been like, I think that's great and I'm all for that, but I've always been a little like, oh, it'd be so nice. I have to like read things over and over and over again, or read something and then I forget it. And I'm like, I promise I read it. And like just being able to like retain the information that I read, I think that would be great.
That's a really good one. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any questions or links. We're going to go in the same order that we just answered this last question in to answer our final question, like we ask every single person before we tell our next steps and what we're doing for the next couple months. what does community mean to you? Start with Erica.
All right. So I would say community for me is like a place of challenge and a place of growth to do it safely. I think there's just so many spaces in our lives where we're nervous or afraid to kind of take the steps to grow and be challenged, and to know that you have a community that will help you and allow you to do that, I think is just really important. And I think that there's a lot of spirit in this group that kind of mimics that and what I hope for.
So a quick plug, if you haven't seen the documentary on WeWork on Hulu, it's really good. You should check it out. And I watched it, and it really got me thinking about how that entire organization, we work and we live and we educate and all these things, they're trying to monopolize and sell the idea of community. And at best it feels disingenuous, and at worst it feels like a cult. But I think of groups like this and others as well, where communities form naturally and you have a built-in support system and you're learning and growing together, and it's a network for greater things. And I think whenever you have an opportunity to build and grow those types of communities, it's always in your best interest, and I'm passionate to be a part of them.
I love that. For me, I was reading a book, one of my favorite books called Revolutionary Communicator, and it just talks about how one of people's greatest needs is attention. We just live in a world that people just like move so fast, like they're just people who are just crying just for attention, and not like in a vain kind of way, but just in a like to be seen. And that's something that's really important to me, that people feel loved, valued, and seen. And that's what I think community is. It's just a space where no matter what it is, in a college setting, like where I work, it's an affinity group, whether it's based off of ethnicity, whether it's based off of a culture, whether it's based off of like you love to play chess or Dungeons and Dragons, that like you just like find a place that like you feel seen, loved, and heard. And I think that if everyone can find at least one space, that like that third space, whether it's work, home, and then that third space, like if everyone can find that, I think, man, so many incredible things could happen. So that's what community means to me.
I feel like community to me is definitely a space that feels like home, a place where you just feel like totally supported in what you do, whether it's your dreams and your passions, and the people that you're around are excited for you, and they're celebrating you and the steps that you're taking to just like as you pursue that. And I think that it's also a place that's just filled with like a lot of diversity and interests. And I just think it's a place where people can be passionate about what they're passionate about. And there are people that are willing to listen.
Yeah, that's so good. I think for me, I keep coming, like, it's a safe place created for people to build relationships, to just like Nee was saying, like be seen, be valued, be known, and that you just like get to do life with people. I think that's something that's so good and so powerful, is just feeling like if you have like whether you're winning and you're doing super well and people get to celebrate with you, or you're having a really hard time and people get to come alongside you and just be like, hey, like we're with you. Just getting to do life with people and having it be a safe place to do that, I think is so powerful and so good. And so yeah, that's what community means to me.
I love that. Well, I mean, it goes without saying, but it needs to be said over and over again. Thank you guys so much for being a part of Community Culture Night year one. One of the things that is really interesting about when you start something brand new, you in your head, you have this idea. It's like, there's gonna be like 5,000 people. It's gonna be crazy. But what I love about this team is like the consistency, and that like, on great days, on days that aren't as great, or whatever the case may be, like we're consistent. And I just really appreciate that. And you guys are the reason behind that. So thank you so much for being a part of Community Culture Night. I can't wait for what's to come in the future. And as we just invite more and more people to the crew in whatever regard that people can. So in regards to the future, couple next things. First and foremost, next month, we are super, super excited. It's gonna be a super special treat. Before she gets like super, super, super famous, now she already is famous, we're gonna have Gabriela Rodiles. She's gonna join us, also known as Gourmet Gab. Follow her on Instagram. She's so close to 10,000 followers. We gotta get her there, guys. She's gonna be joining us. She is incredible. So she's gonna chat with us a little bit, share a little bit more about her story and what she's doing with the Food Network and the various opportunities that she has. And then so this is April, that was next is May. June and July, we're going to try our hardest to find a space for us to meet outside, for us to gather and make this happen in person. We're still looking at venues, whether it's a park or something like that, but we're going to try our hardest to make that happen. If you're able and are comfortable, we would love to have you. We're going to social distance as much as we can. That's the whole point of trying to do this outside. We have some gear that we're able to use, but the goal is that we can hopefully gather together in what we hoped would kind of be what Community and Culture Night would look like every single month. So again, be on the lookout for that. We'll get more information. Again, thank you guys so much for being part as we celebrate 1 year. We did it. We made it. Party. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great, great, great evening, everyone. And we will see you soon. Take care, guys.